All right, now that we've added in all of our variables, what we need to do is start writing the scripts that will let us start telling the story, okay? So basically what I want to do is I want to have this happen whenever the space bar is pressed, because sort of down at the bottom here, right, we said the last thing to do, now press the space bar to tell the story. So I'm just going to kind of scroll back up kind of here near the top, and I'm going to go over to the control area, the event area. And this very second button, it says when space key is pressed, and that's perfect. So we're going to start whenever the space key is pressed. Now, what we want to check is we want to see what the value of this next variable is, because we need to know if we're telling the first part of the story or the second part. If we try to tell a whole story at once, this whole big screen would be filled, it would be kind of chaotic. So we're going to do it in little chunks. So when the space key is pressed, I want to go to control, and I want an if-then statement. I'm going to bring that out, okay? And what I want to know is if the variable next is equal to 1. It starts out at 0, but then at the bottom of this, we tell next to be equal to 1. So if next is equal to 1, we'll be able to do whatever we have in here. So I'm going to go to operators, and under operators, sort of in the middle of it here, there's this one that blank equals 50. I'm going to bring this out and drop it inside right there. Now, I don't know about blank equals 50. We want this to be, instead of 50, we want this to be 1. And we want the variables over here. So we go to variables, and then we find our variable that says next, and drag this and put it inside the first oval. So now we have if next equals 1. And there's a couple of things that I want to do here. The first thing that I want to do is I want to switch my background. Right now it's at school. I want to switch it over to my second background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to looks, and I'm going to come down here to where it says switch backdrop. I'm going to bring this out. Now mine says blue sky 2. Yours might say something else, whatever it is, but I just want to say blue sky 2, okay? Excuse me. Now, the next thing that I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and start telling my story. We're going to do this with a regular say command, not the say for 2 seconds. So a say command without the time. We're going to bring this out and put it in here. Now we need to combine some text with some variables. So we need to use join commands for that. Okay? I can't just type in here the first part of the story. So I'm going to go to operators. I'm going to bring out join. This one says apple and banana. So we're going to bring join apple and banana right in there. And we're going to do that a second time. So I'm going to bring join apple and banana, and I'm going to put this one inside the banana. So it's going to say join apple, banana. Okay? And the first part is the first part of the story. So it's the first part of the story is I'd like to teach number grade when I grow up. So I'd like to teach space. Okay? In that first area, I'd like to teach, and then a space. Otherwise the number is going to just be right on top of this teach. So make sure you put a space after this. Then I'm going to go to variables, and I'm going to find my variable for number, which is right here. I'm going to drag this out and put it in where it says apple. I'd like to teach spacebar number, and then in banana we're going to put a space, okay? Otherwise it's going to be right on top of the number, so put a space there. When I grow up, period. Okay? Now, the next thing that we're going to do, so I'd like to teach, and then whatever that person put in for the number when I grow up. So it might be I want to teach, actually, this should have, I want to teach, this is my fault. After teach, I'm going to click in here, and I'm going to type grade. So I'd like to teach grade 1,433,000 when I grow up. You know, so something silly like that, right? Again, put a space after grade. So I'd like to teach grade space number space when I grow up. So that's the first part of the story. Now what we want to do is we want to go to control, and we want to wait a second, okay? Because what we're going to do is we're going to change the value of next to 2, but if we don't wait a second, it's going to happen right away, and it's going to go right to the end of the story. So we wait a second, and that way this has a chance to happen. And now we're going to go ahead and go to variables, and we're going to bring out set. Mine says set adjective 1 to 0. I'm going to bring that out. I'm going to change adjective 1. I'm going to change it to next, and we're going to change next to 2. Okay. Now we're going to basically kind of do this whole thing again. all right? But we're going to tweak the second part just a little bit. So here's how that's going to work, okay? We can just right-click here and then left-click on duplicate and make this script again, okay? Now, this time, here's how we're going to change things. Where it says if next equals 1, we want this to be next equals 2. So I'm going to click in here and just type a 2. Now, I can leave this switch backdrop in the blue sky. That's fine. It's really not going to affect anything. Or I can take it out because I've already done it here. If I want to take it out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this say right here, left click and hold and drag. And then I'm just going to grab this switch backdrop to blue sky 2 and I'm going to take it over here to the left-hand side and dump it. And now I've just got these three. I can put them back inside just like this, okay? So pretty much from here on in, all the scripts are going to look just like this. And all we have to do is sort of tweak things a little bit. So what we're going to tweak here is this. This next sentence is going to be much, much longer. So we need a bunch of join statements in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this number, I'm going to click and drag, I'm going to bring it over here to the side and delete it. Because we ultimately need here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 join statements. We've only got 2. So go back to the green operator section. We've got 2 join statements. We need a third. So I'm going to bring this and put it in the last sentence there. So join, 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 that's 3. One more in banana is 4. And one more in banana is 5. Okay? So mine still says I'd like to teach grade and then join apple, join apple, join apple, join apple, banana. Okay? And now we can go ahead and start tweaking this a little bit. So in this first area where it says I'd like to teach grade, I'm going to click on that and then press delete or backspace on my keyboard. And we are going to type in this statement. My classroom will be filled with space. So I'll leave that up just for a little bit, but you can always pause the video and you can kind of fill that in for yourself. And then once you're ready, you can go on to the next part. So my classroom will be filled with, and then make sure you put your space because we're about to put a variable here, okay? So the variable that we're going to put in here is noun 1. So we go to variables, grab noun 1, and put that in where it says the first apple, okay? In this second space now, after noun 1, in this space where it says apple, we are going to go space, A-N-D, and space, okay? And now in this second spot, we're going to put noun 2. So I'm going to come over here to noun 2, and I'm going to drop it in that apple. So now this will say, my classroom will be filled with whatever they say for noun 1, apples, and whatever they say for noun 2, ice skates, right? And then in this last apple, we're going to do space, F-O-R, space, okay? And then in this last section, we're going to do verb 1, okay? So I'm going to grab verb 1 right here, put it in banana. And so now what it'll say is when we have the sentence displayed, my classroom will be filled with, water buckets and balloons for flying, okay? And that's what that silly sentence is going to be. So for right now, let's go ahead and stop this. And we'll pick up and finish this off with one more video. See you soon.